Alright, so we're back. Now we're going to go ahead and start setting up the lighting like I said in the previous video in this back hallway over here so we can get some nice lighting and show off this part of the hallway. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple of portal lights and stick them over here on this wall at the end right here. Now instead of creating the portal lights from scratch again, I can save a lot of time simply by taking one of the portal lights I've already created before and simply duplicating them and bringing one of these over. Okay, so I'll place this one about, let's see, let's place it close to -26, something like that's pretty good. So pretty close against that back wall right there. And in the y-axis, I'm just going to move it down to about 10 or 11, something like that's pretty good. And for the x-axis, let's go ahead and let's move this one over to about right here at this side of the wall right there. So we're going to have two. We're going to have one there and one on the other side over here. The next thing I'm going to do is I need to change the size of the actual rectangle here for the area light. If I come over here and I do a preview render, what I'm getting here is a pretty cool lighting effect, but it's a little bit too bright and blown out, and I don't like the colors either. I want to go for a cooler color in this hallway. I don't want everything to look warm. I want the main part to look warm, which is this area over here. Then I want some nice cool over here and some cool colors over here. So to do that, it's actually pretty simple. I'm going to come over here to my light. I'm going to open up its PPG, and I'm just going to change the tint color from this warm, hot color to a cooler color. So let me take the blue channel and put it all the way up. The green channel, I'll leave that, that's fine. And the red channel, I'll drop to about 0.7 or 0.8. Something like this is pretty good, so I get this nice, cool, soft blue color. The multiplier intensity, I'll leave alone for the moment. And I'm also going to do something else. Over here, you'll notice that we have a parameter that says visible in render. What we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and turn on that parameter there. Let's also go to our area light parameters over here, and let me change the Y to something else just to stretch this out a little bit. So let me try 15, let me try 18. That's pretty good. So we have this very long thin light. So let me put the X value to about 2, which actually looks pretty good. Let me make it a little bit thinner. Let's try something like 1. That makes it very, very thin. Might be a little bit too thin. Well, let's see. Let's do a test render and let's see what we have. Okay, it's done rendering. It looks pretty cool. Now we have this very nice bluish, cool color coming in through here. You'll also notice something else very peculiar. We have this sort of white area here. That's the actual portal light. Now what you're seeing is not just white. What it is basically a portal or a window to the outside. The portal light, when we switch this visible and render parameter to on, it allows us to see through everything that's behind it. So we can see through the wall, everything, and see the environment shader in the background, which in our case is this physical sky shader that we created that you can see if I render out here. This physical sky shader that's going to pop up here when it renders is actually showing through the window. It's just a little bit hard to see and looks a little bit blown out because our portal light is so bright. So let's drop the multiplier from this portal light down to something a little bit lower. Let's try knocking it down by half. So we'll go from 1000 to 500, and we'll go ahead and render that out and see what we have. Okay, so we have this softer lighting. It's not so intense anymore. Looks really cool, like this light coming in from outside, and it's casting these beautiful shadows here with these iron bars, which is the whole reason why I placed them there to begin with, because they create these nice shadows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I'm happy with that, at least for the moment. I'm going to take that same light that I created and open up the PPG again. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call this one Hallway Light 1. Okay? And I'm going to take the same light and I'm going to duplicate it. And it went off somewhere else. Let me just undo that. I hit Control D instead of Control Alt D. Control D duplicates transforms. Control Alt and D that just goes ahead and duplicates the object by itself. So I'm going to place this light about here is pretty good. And there we go. So now let's come back over here and let's do another render. Okay, so now we have this very nice cool color, this lighting coming in from these windows from the outside. And if we go ahead and we do a render from these iron bars over here from the inside of our dungeon, let's go ahead and perform a render here and see what we have. So essentially we come up with this really cool effect that gives our scene a little bit more depth and complexity, because we can see that there's some kind of a very dark hallway. It's very difficult to make out the hallway, but we can see that there's some light at the end of the tunnel, no pun intended, which looks really cool, very nice. And I like the colors, how they contrast. We have cool colors like these coming over here. If we create a render from this angle, we should get something pretty interesting. Okay, so that's what we get. We have this nice cooler sort of greenish color coming in right here. And we have our sunlight coming in here. But you'll probably notice that our colors are a bit off and our intensities are a bit off. The scene just doesn't seem to look too good at the moment. And there's actually a good reason why that's happening. But I think we've gone over plenty of stuff in this video, at least a few things. So in the next video, what I'm going to talk about is color management. Color management is extremely important because it makes a world of difference when you're creating your final renders. And it can totally change your render for better or for worse. So we'll talk about color management next, what it means, and how to work with color management inside Exercise 7.